So in this video, I'm going to answer the question, should you get the Gear 4 Black Piccadilly? But it's kind of odd to me because the Picadilly is not a black case, it's a completely transparent case. All things considered, it's a very average case in my opinion. There are a lot of other cases that cost less that offer better handling. With that being said, I've been using the Picadilly for the last few weeks, and this case does have its moments. I am drawn to it every once in a while. The Gear 4 Picadilly kind of reminds me of the old Tech 21 Evo Checks, but unlike the old Evo Checks, my 7-month-old Picadilly hasn't started yellowing, which is nice. One of the supposed standout features of the Gear 4 cases is the 3 meter or 9 foot drop rating. But if you've been watching my videos long enough, you'll know that, well, the last time I dropped a Gear 4 case on concrete, it didn't fare very well. And it wasn't even 9 feet. For my Gear 4 Picadilly review, I've given this case a score of 3.8 A's out of 5. It scores better than the average iPhone case by a tiny smidge. The average score for an iPhone 7 case is 3.750 to 3 decimal places, and the Picadilly is 3.778. It's 0.028 above an average case. Now, if you're looking for comparable clear cases, I suggest you check out the Tech 21 Evo Mesh or Check, or the OtterBox Statement. I will do a quick comparison between these 3 cases at the end of this review.
Real usage, real reviews. Mobile Reviews A.ca.
At Mobile Reviews A.ca, we base everything we do on actual usage, and, well, with these cases, I've been reviewing the same size case basically for 3 years because the iPhone 6, 6S, and 7's general shape hasn't changed. So I've amassed this ginormous amount of iPhone case knowledge, and, well, you know, this case is named differently, but it's kind of the same as all the other ones. I'm actually thinking about doing a video where it's kind of like a drinking game, where I start drinking and I'm blindfolded and somebody just hands me cases and I try to identify them blindfolded because I know these cases like the back of my hand. With the Gear 4 black leather case, well, that definitely couldn't handle 9-foot face-first drop, so I'm pretty sure that this clear Picadilly won't as well, and I'm not going to risk my iPhone on a Gear 4 product because, well, Gear 4 never got back to me about any of my questions about their products. Now, as I said earlier, this iPhone 7 case is quite average. It is actually very thin and light, which is a great combination, but it doesn't offset the slick back and extra width the case adds to your device. It fits the iPhone very well, and like most clear cases, doesn't have much flex along the edges of the case. Now, despite the slick back, I do have to say that the case handles above average because the edges are quite rubbery. When it comes to protection, as I said earlier, the Picadilly is drop rated to 9 feet, though I would definitely say the corners can survive a 9 feet drop. But again, I don't have much confidence dropping my iPhone face first in this case. Now, the 9 feet drop protection shouldn't really be a surprise to me because, well, on all these drop rated symbols that companies put on their boxes, it's always the corner. If you look at it, it's always the corner showing the drop. It's never the front of the iPhone showing the drop. So, you know, in a certain way, they are telling you the truth, kind of. But, you know, if Gear 4 made cookies, they would say that their cookie dough never made you sick as long as you baked it, right? It's kind of that disjoint in my head. Now, as I said earlier, the edges of the case are quite rigid, so it will prevent dust and debris from getting between the case and the device, which is something that might happen with the Tech 21 Evo Mesh and Check. The edges of the case are quite shallow, but are still high enough to keep your iPhone screen off a flat surface with a screen protector installed. Accessing your iPhone is actually very nice in the case. I do have to give props to Gear 4 as their buttons are top-notch, despite being one of the wider cases. The cutout at the bottom is big enough for third-party lightning cables, and the camera and flash aren't affected by the case. The last thing I will say about the Picadilly before getting to the mini comparison is that one-handed usage is actually very poor with the case. Despite having rubbery edges, the slick back just doesn't offer your hand enough texture. There's nothing here to keep the iPhone stable in your hand. Like, the rubbery edges are good, but I still prefer to have something on the back to hold on to. Like the back of the Tech 21 Evo Mesh has a lot of, well, it's very rubbery, so your fingers have a lot to hold on to. I've got a loopy case here that I've been using. The loopy case, greatest one-handed usage product ever. So awesome. Between the Tech 21 Evo Mesh and Check, which is this one, the Gear 4 Picadilly, I've also got here a OtterBox Statement. Now, I've chosen these cases to compare because they're all kind of in the same price range. They're kind of expensive, and they're all kind of clear, and they're all kind of drop rated. My personal pick would be the Tech 21 Evo Mesh or Check. I really like this case. The edges are as rubbery as the Picadilly, but the back is very textury. It's got a good rubbery texture to it, so it won't slide around easily like the Picadilly will. Between the statement and the Picadilly, both these cases, I would say if you like the leather piece at the bottom, then go with the statement. The statement will make your iPhone 7 Plus even bigger. So if you're going with the 7, then maybe consider getting the statement. But if you're going with the 7 Plus, then definitely get a Picadilly, because the statement just makes the entire device massive. And I don't have tiny hands, but I do find using my iPhone 7 Plus in the OtterBox statement quite cumbersome. So that's kind of all I got. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments section below. If you're considering getting this case, you can get it through one of my links. It won't cost you any more, and I'll get a kickback, which helps me film more videos in the future. I am going to give you guys a heads up that this will be one of the last singular case reviews that I do. As I'm going to change the format of the reviews slightly. I'm going to do groups of cases by one manufacturer rather than doing one case from a manufacturer over a span of like a month. Just a little more time efficient. So, thanks for watching. And yes, Monty's wearing a tie. And this little bling, this little blue thing, that's a doggy Fitbit tracker called a Fitbark. Yeah, apparently Monty is very lazy. Like, it's kind of crazy how poorly he does on his Fitbark.